Representative Cote d'Ivoire, and I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I would like to thank the delegation of Kuwait for the excellent presidency that they've had in June. Congratulate you on assuming the presidency, wishing you every success. And I also would like to welcome the new permanent representative of France, Mr. Nicolas de Rivière. Wish him every success and tell him that he has our support and cooperation. Mr. President, we are grateful to you for the idea of having an open debate on the issue of combating terrorism and organized crime. We thank Mr. Fedotov, Ms. Konix, and Ms. Makarenko for the useful contribution to our discussions. A close link between terrorism and transnational organized crime, illegal drug trafficking, illegal arms trafficking, human trafficking, money laundering is something that the Security Council pointed out already in the resolution 1373 passed in 2001. And our delegation have always supported and supports the desire to raise this issue at the Security Council and continue its expert assessment. Pooling resources and knowledge, terrorists and crimes heighten their potential, make it more difficult to combat them on the part of law enforcement and intelligence bodies. Furthermore, terrorism and organized crime are constantly shifting, looking at new ways of working. They adjust to new circumstances. They change their motivations and tactics. We're particularly concerned by the fact that members of organized groups become radicalized and become terrorists. And this is something that we need to pay special attention when we are organizing our work on how to combat terrorism ideology. At the same time, the international community has managed to work out a number of mechanisms and instruments for international cooperation in the area of criminal proceedings, such as extradition, mutual legal assistance, or transfer of criminal proceedings, transfer of the convicted, freezing and confiscating of assets, and law enforcement cooperation. Anyone who is involved in terrorist activities, including funding such activity, needs to be brought to account. In this regard, we call upon all states to fulfill their international obligations, including on the principle we have in the global counterterrorism strategy, which is a principle of extradite or prosecute. We support the strengthening of interaction and coordination between the specialized entities of the UN Secretariat and regional organizations when it comes to countering the nexus between terrorism and organized crime. And the specialized technical cooperation programs by the Office of Counterterrorism and the Office on Drugs and Crime is a very good example of such work. We see potential in regional organizations in developing policies and strategies on security, creating more effective cooperation mechanism and assistance mechanism in order to fight terrorism and organized crime. Mr. President, the examples of ISIL and Al-Qaeda show that the intensity of terrorist activity is directly dependent on the level of its funding. A sufficient material basis enables terrorism to prepare and conduct terrorist acts, to recruit new members, to actively counteract the work done by law enforcement. Suppressing the terrorist international in Syria and Iraq would be much faster if terrorists did not receive large-scale and sustained supplies of weapons and ammunition. We would like to underscore that illegal trafficking in small arms and light weapons is a serious crime. Mr. President, we think it's important to heighten our efforts in countering drugs trafficking. In a number of states where the situation is already difficult, it's worsened by the continued merging between the drug trafficking and terrorist underground inter alia in order to launder criminal proceeds. Human trafficking also remains a serious challenge in various parts of the world, and the proceeds of this is something that very frequently ends up in the hands of terrorists. We think it's necessary to continue studying the issue of the interaction between terrorist organizations and international crime. The potential for criminal groups makes it much more easier for terrorists to conduct subversive activities globally. We think, therefore, that it is a very good idea and relevant for Peru to prepare a relevant resolution on this issue. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the